Hello, everybody. Welcome to this Large Blast podcast, best Warhammer 40,000 podcast around. I'm your host, Stoney. I'm joined, as always, by hosts Matt.
We're football crazy.
And hosts Welshie.
Football's coming home.
And that's right, we've got World Cup fever, or should I say World's Cup fever over here at the Large Blast podcast studios, where we're going to do a World Cup of planets. But we'll get to that in a bit, because we like to kick things off with a little something we call Hobbies Goings On, where we have a little look into what's going on into the host's hobbies lives. So, Matt, it's got to the end of November. We're in December now. How was your big challenge to paint all your unfinished Imperial Guard guys? How did you do? What's your body count?
I think I did. I was thoroughly happy with myself, actually. Not going to lie, the last 3 days, I literally just did Warhammer. But it was mostly because I just wanted to get them out of the way. And I did everything apart from the 2 Catachan figures and the Catachan character, which I've now done.
I've got to admit, I was very impressed when you sent me that picture to post on the Instagram. If you're only just picking this up, guys, Matt had to paint a lot of Imperial Guard during November. And you can see his progress on the Instagram, but I was shocked that you got all of that done, to be honest. That was excellent work.
A lot of plastic.
Oh, man, yeah. I mean, I probably, at some point, I might weather the tanks better, but they're on my shelf and I'm just moving on.
Yeah,
and actually, that feels great. Yeah, they're playable. And actually, the Catachans had 3 different colours on. So if you're running by Games Workshop standard of what's playable, they were all playable.
Lots of questions about the camo, Matt. If you could quickly do your camo recipe for the listeners.
How do we do it? Sneaky peak.
I can't do it quickly, but
is it like the Colonel's secret recipe? You'll never tell.
He's not telling us. Yeah.
No. I am telling you. I have had the same camo scheme since I did my Imperial Armored Company when Apocalypse first came out, and the box of 10 Lehman Russes came out for £150. Got it for birthday and Christmas. That was in 2007. So I did my Armored Company then, and I had in my head, I got to a point. Like sometimes you may think, oh, pro painters, they use really small brushes, whereas actually that's not the reality at all. But I kind of had a thought along those same lines at the time. I thought, actually, if I want to improve my painting, what I need to do,
the smaller the brush, the more the professional.
No, yeah. Well, sometimes
that's what we tell all the ladies.
Younger kids think about that. Yeah, but I kind of thought, what I'm going to do for my Armored Company is I'm not going to use standard colors. Each one there's 3 colors on the tank, and they're all a mix of colors. And at the time, I spent quite a bit of money on Citadel paints, and I mixed a massive batch of paint. And do you know what? The paint is still pretty usable.
Oh, shit! I'm still working off this old batch of paint.
Yeah.
Here's a good question then. What pot are they in? What pot type are they in? Hexagons?
They're in the hexagon.
Oh, the best pot, screw top.
Yeah, the screw top ones.
Oh.
Yeah, they're in those.
Just proof that Games Workshop screw top hexagons the best you've ever made.
Yeah. They're a mix of if somebody really wants to know, I've probably written it down somewhere. There's 3. There's like a base coat. The dark green base coat, admittedly, is the standard Cadian green or whatever it's called. But there's a light brown, a brown, and a green, and then they kind of transition between brown, green, light brown, brown, green, light brown, and the pattern goes on. And then there's the camo, the opposite camo leaf patterns are painted on the top, and that kind of blends it all together. The camo scheme is it's basically a rip-off of a German Panzer color scheme.
Which is
yeah. Stop him here, guys. Let's move on.
I have to say, when you kind of speed through loads of stuff, you can get a bit frustrated, a bit bored of painting, and at some points I did get to that point. But the Krieg models, the Krieg kill team models are an amazing kit. If you want to have a nice squad of Imperial Guardsmen that will cost you £35 and you don't have to do any more Guardsmen, invest in that kit. And honestly, it's amazing. And you get so many options with those kits. We've spoken about Kill Team so many times on the podcast, but it's amazing kit.
It's a really cool kit. I use that kit with some of my Gene Stealer cult stuff.
Brilliant.
Because I don't know if you guys remember an old episode where I drunkenly bought the Kill Team box.
Oh, yeah.
And then I
showing it.
I used a lot of it I've been using a lot of it for my very slow progress Gene Stealer cult stuff. And that kit is fucking cool. It's got like the guy with the bag with like the medicine in and like, lots of really cool bits.
The guy holding the clock, so he's like holding the old-fashioned watch that's ticking off when to go over the top. The guy that's going to blow up the mines. Yeah, it's brilliant. And I have actually set up the Large Blast Podcast Twitter account.
Fantastic.
In the last couple of days, so we're up and running. So I'll need to transfer some. We can get that out on Instagram.
People. We're going to be commenting on stuff, all kinds of shit, getting them thumbs ups.
If your listeners are on Twitter, it's at Large Pod, and you can find us on Twitter.
There you are. Check it out now. Check out Large Pod. Send us a message. I don't know. What do? You tweet us. We'll be ready.
Yeah. Oh, we already
max those characters out.
Been on it. Yeah, been on it 2 days. We've had a like from Peachy.
So, fantastic.
Yeah, here's to you, Peachy. Welshie, what have you been up to? Anything interesting?
Well, like Matt, I've been trying to do not quite as intensive, but an assault on my pile of shame in preparation for Christmas, really. Yeah, I've got a unit of raptors done for my Emperor's Children.
I saw
using some of the old models.
I saw you post a picture of that old raptor on the Instagram. That's a crazy cool model. It's got like his whole really chest is like a fucking demon plate, isn't it? It's fucking,
armor
it's crazy.
Is fantastic. Like the detail on the armor panels is mad. And some of the heads on those models with like the wings coming out. And there's one guy that just looks like a kind of metal pig head. It's really weird, but I've loved painting them, and I've loved mixing in little bits of new models. So all of the chainswords are from new plastic, those kind of real detailed spikes you get. Yeah. So that's my kind of thing with that whole army, really, is every model has to have either a piece of Age of Sigmar or a piece of Old Hammer as part of the conversion. So that's been really fun. And then I've just ploughed through a unit of 5 Black Templars Intercessors and a unit of Black Templars Eradicators. But my big news, really, Matt's just said we talk about it all the time, and I'm going to bloody talk about it again, is I played Kill Team for the first time on the weekend.
Oh, nice.
And I bloody loved it. And I think we should get together and play some Kill Team. It took a while to learn the rules because we haven't played before. But I reckon once you know how to play, you can get a game done within the hour. That's right, boys.
Oh, wow.
Within the hour.
It's the dream.
Kill Team.
And the best thing about it was I just went around my house before my mate came round to play, and within an hour, I had 5 Kill Team armies. Just picking models that I already had from my existing armies. And even models that I don't have a full army, like my Sisters of Battle, I had enough to play Kill Team. And
there you go.
It's really good. You don't have to spend loads of time list building. It literally tells you what models you want to play. So you just go, I want to play Grey Knights today. And it says, well, you have to have 1 of these, 3 of these, and 2 of these.
Cool. Oh, that's good.
And then you just play.
Good.
It's fab. And it's really easy to layer the rules as well. So you don't have to play all the rules. You can play it without strats and without like add-ons, and it seems relatively balanced. And even if it's not balanced, it's fun because it's quick and it's over in an hour, and you can pick another team and have another go. So yeah, really enjoyed it.
What about you, Stoney?
Well, I haven't been doing a whole bunch of much. You know, obviously this is Stoney's 3D printing corner that we're in right about now. So I've been up to a bit of ZBrush things. I've got some ZBrush going on. But one thing that I have been sort of thinking about doing, which I've been influenced recently by, there's a sculptor that I follow on YouTube called Bobby Fingers, he's a really good sculptor, and he makes these really funny dioramas of stuff. And he recently did this diorama of, have you ever heard the story of how Steven Seagal got challenged a stuntman to a fight on set and got the shit kicked out of him and literally pooped his pants? Have you ever heard that story?
It's like amazing.
It's like, apparently, well, okay, I'm gonna get this is going a bit off topic from 40k, but that's why you listen to LBP, right? It's like so apparently there's this story where Steven Seagal, when he gets into it with stuntmen, and he's got this thing, it's called like not pulling your punches or something, where you're a bit rough with stuntmen and you like actually hit them and stuff, and like stuntmen hate it, and it's really like it's really frowned upon in the industry kind of thing. The stuntman game, it's like, you're a bit of a cunt in the stuntman game if you do that kind of thing. And this guy who was like a stuntman and like a UFC fighter dude like goes up to Steven Seagal one day and is like, hey, in our scenes you're like actually fucking slapping me about and stuff, like that's not good. And eventually him and Steven Seagal get into it, and Steven Seagal like challenges him to a fight, like, I'll take you down with one finger, you know, using my jujitsu skills or whatever the fuck he says. And like and this guy just fucking clotheslines him, and Steven Seagal gets knocked out, and apparently, as the story goes, shits his pants whilst he's unconscious. He makes a really good diorama of this, and I was thinking, oh, wouldn't it be kind of funny if I made some like Steven Seagal heads to go on like Space Marines and stuff, and then I can make my own 40k diorama of Steven Seagal getting the shit kicked out of him, or kicking the shit out of somebody else, who knows. But either way, you know, I mean, if you've got it as a 3D print, then you've got it as a 3D print, right? You can, I could put it on anything. I could do Steven Seagal kicking the shit, and I could do Steven Seagal getting the shit kicked out of him. I could do a double-sided diorama where you turn it around. It's like, which way is the fight going to go? Who knows? But yeah, so I'm making Steven Seagal heads for Warhammer.
Amazing. It's funny how you get some heads sometimes that you think that do look like action heroes.
Yeah.
My Black Templars chaplain, I think, is the spitting image of Jason Statham with a bionic eye.
What's the Tina Swinton or whatever she's called? She's
Tilda Swinton.
Yeah, it's one of the Sisters of Battle characters. It's a spitting image of her. It's what you do, surely, as a sculptor. I don't know, Stoney, if you'd have an opinion, but like if you're trying to sculpt a human face, you copy someone famous, surely. Like,
is it the D-Rock cover that's the really famous 40k image that Sylvester Stallone?
It's the image of Scarface of him being like, say hello to my little friend.
Finance, cutting-edge technology. Accurate information, it's the Large Blast Podcast News. Researched by your robo-chum. I live again.
So listen up, book dweebs. There's some new literature for you to consume. It's a book about Sanguinius. The other Primarchs have got one, and now Sanguinius has got a turn. It's a hard-back-looking motherfucker with a lovely picture on the front. So if you're into that kind of stuff, then it's a nice book which you can purchase. Welshie, tell us some more.
Well, I don't know that much more about it than that, to be honest, mate. But I can tell you that I've enjoyed a lot of the Primarch books because they are focused on the Primarch from the Horus Heresy. So obviously Primarchs float in and out of the main Horus Heresy series, but if you've got a particular interest in a particular Primarch, I really would recommend them. I think I've said like a million times to listen to the Conrad Kurz one. I think you have, actually, where he's talking to the flesh sculpture of his dad.
Yeah, I listened to it on your recommendation, thought it was really good.
Yeah, they just get into the kind of psyche behind the Primarch that you don't necessarily get in the main book series that's just fighty. Oh, Sanguinius has flown down with a spear and sliced open a Titan. That's cool. But if you're interested in the kind of way the Primarchs think, I really would recommend all of the Primarch series, to be honest. They're all by different authors, so some are more wordy than others, but books about the Chaos Primarchs also make you feel kind of sorry for them as well, and they just make you emote with them more than you get in the normal comic book. So I'm quite excited for this one, because Sanguinius is obviously the most, well, I don't know if he's the most emo, maybe Korax is the most emo, but he's certainly up there.
Yeah, Korax is definitely the most emo. You've got to be, right? I mean,
but a lot of crying blood and vampish nature. So,
oh hell yeah, that's good shit. But like, do you think that maybe we've talked a little bit in the past about the old conspiracy theory that maybe accidentally Sanguinius kills the Emperor in a fit of rage? We're getting to the end. We're getting to the end of the thingy. Do you think, is this coincidence? Is the spotlight being shone on Sanguinius for a reason?
Well, it could be, because the other big thing that happened this week was the Black Library preview day. So we didn't cover that in too much detail because it is all books, but they had old Dabnett on talking about the final two books in the Horus Heresy. So we know it's split into two. We know that the cover of the new one now has got Sanguinius on the front drawing his blade against Horus. So that's going to be the second part of the final books. And Dabnett has really laid out that it's going to be epic. He basically said in the interview for it that every single storyline that has a loose thread, it's going to be pulled together in these two epic finales. So it's going to be about 30 hours of listening, but I'm super excited for it.
Rolling in my 6-4.
Football! That's right, it's World Cup fever, baby. We here at the Large Blast Podcast Do we have it for real football? Do we bollocks? But we've got it for 40k-esque football. Who knows? It's a premise we've created and we're hanging stuff on. If you're an American listener, football is what I believe you refer to as round European soccer ball. I'm joined by my co-host Matt, who's formulated a devious system for planetary battle. Planetary
football battle.
Football battle. So Matt, take us through the rules and tell us about this, the beautiful game.
Okay, picture this. 1 million worlds vying for qualification in the Imperium Cup. The Byzantine bureaucracy of the Imperium means the organisation of such a tournament takes generations in the making. Welcome, listener, to the Imperium Cup. 32 teams have made it through grit and bribery. Who will lift the cup? It's all to play for, or is it?
I'm excited, sports fans. I hope you are too. So boil up a hot dog and grab yourself a cup of tea because we're about to get sporty. So first up in our competition of random worlds that we've pulled from throughout the universe, we've pieced them together in Group A. And let's hear a little bit about the teams.
Jewel in the crown of the Sol System and home to the galaxy's most important sports fan. With no expense spared on training, this team should go all the way. They're also the home team. It's Terra!
Taking obesity and unfitness to the next level, this planet's main resident is the planet itself. Devoted to slanesh and gluttony, he shelters demons and noise marines in his paws. It's Olynesius, the big fat man that became a planet.
The ice warriors of this planet are no strangers to holding their ground against overwhelming odds, but will they be left out in the cold for this cup? It's Valhalla.
In the cup sits the dark age of technology, more incense space cathedral than planetoid. Can this man-made behemoth give the other teams an imperial fisting? It's the Phalanx!
So there we have it, guys. That's the group. We've got Terra, Olynesius, Valhalla, and Phalanx. Who do we think in this weird sports premise of the future is going to win in a football game? Right?
Well,
Group A.
the Terra have the home advantage, but they've obviously bought the competition. The Valhalla are going to be pretty hardy.
I think the Valhallans are, they're not going down without a fight, are they? They never have. They're frosty. They're used to it. They're going to be wearing those cool furry hats. That's got to help.
I can't imagine what a football team from Olynesius would compose of, seeing as it's like a giant. Yeah,
it's one big fat guy. His massive foot comes down and boots the ball. He'd be a great goalkeeper, though. It'd be really hard to score against Olynesius. I'll tell you right now, I've got a soft spot for Olynesius. I'm hoping that he goes through. But I feel like Terra. It's the birthplace of football. It's the home team, all of that. I feel like they're going to be evidently disappointing, much like England is in every World Cup.
It's coming home.
Going to pin their hopes on them. It's coming home. All the rest of it. It's going to an Olynesius, mate. It's not coming home at all.
I think we haven't mentioned Phalanx, but Phalanx is it's just a hive city in space, really. We're not going to field a load of Imperial fists. That would be silly if we start putting teams of Space Marines out.
And it's a hive city. How you don't have a football pitch-sized piece of land to practice on in a hive city?
Okay, so the way I see it, then we think Terra are going to be underwhelming. Olynesius' foot comes down, blocks the goal. Some demonettes run out. They terrify the people of the Phalanx because they're on a nice, safe city. But nothing's going to stop the Valhallans from going through. So maybe Olynesius takes second place and Valhallans take first in the group.
Let's put Valhalla in and Olynesius as two. So we've got Group A. Done.
Let's get into Group B and see what athletes are getting ready to compete in a game of footballs. First up, we've got the land of barren wastes and pollutions that may impact players' breathing, as they can certainly be no strangers to scrap. Led by their team captain, the fearsome Gaza. It's Armageddon 1.
Expect strange things from this Halo world, once home to coagulated pilgrims and the Harud alike. It certainly has the cash flow for an impressive team. It's Chinkare.
The highest suicide rates in the Imperium. Will all the players make it through? Difficult to predict this team. Can play very hot or very cold, depending on the half. It's Mordian!
So just in case you hadn't had enough of Armageddon 1, we've got a second team from a barren-ass planet that's being led by Yarrick, and it's Armageddon 2.
Deadly. Yeah, so just like the real World Cup, we've got a million worlds, and the two teams from the same planet end up in the same group.
So Armageddon's interesting, isn't it? Because it's bisected by
that's true.
By a rainforest down the middle, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So you've got
kind of like
some
a natural
of the weirder...
Berlin Wall.
Yeah, basically. And you've got all of the interesting stuff on one side. So there's loads of hives that no one's heard of, like Hive Volcanus on one side. But the two big hives on one side is Hell's Reach and Hades, isn't it?
Yeah.
And is that Armageddon 1 or 2?
Well, let's put one in each. Let's say that Armageddon 1 is Hades Hive. No, Armageddon 2's got to be Hades Hive if it's Yarrick, right?
Yeah.
And Armageddon 1 is Gazgol's, let's say, successful assault on Hell's Reach, turning things upside down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
we've got kind of like two halves of the same biscuit here. Like when you could order one of those pizzas from Domino's that's got two toppings on. So this is the same planet.
Yeah, exactly.
Half, right, basically.
That's it. That is exactly it. You know, we could have had these teams could have been in a different group and they didn't have to knock each other out. But no, they've got to knock each other out. One of these Armageddons is going home.
Put down their weapons and lace up their football boots and play the beautiful game.
Yeah.
So tell us, Matt, why the Mordians can play particularly hot or cold depending on the day.
So the Mordians can play like that because the world doesn't rotate anymore, so it's fixed. This is from my memory. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the world doesn't rotate anymore. So one side is in night, perpetual night, and one side is in perpetual day. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay,
blasting sun on one side, freezing cold on the other.
And this is the Mordian Iron Guard, right?
The Mordian Iron Guard.
This is the tank guys from the Imperial Guard, right?
Well, no, they're not necessarily tank guys, but they're lines of infantry in smart uniforms. It's a hive world, so there is a lot of them. So they're very, very fancy. So these guys, the changing room is going to be spectacularly neat for this team.
I reckon they'll be very good at the anthem. I reckon they'll be loud and proud.
They're going to win it on the anthem. Yeah.
It's like, normally a changing room smells like a big old ball bag, but their one smells like Gucci aftershave, baby.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Then we've got this weird planet, Chinkari, as well. Which is odd. So it's out in the Halo. Yeah. It's out in the Halo stars on the edge of the galaxy.
So the Halo worlds are weird, right? That whole Halo system is pretty fucked up.
Yeah. This is. I think Chinkari is like a kind of jewel. It's almost like the whole planet is some kind of jewel, and I know about it because I think it's in Eisenhorn. So Eisenhorn goes there, and there's like a big monster that's just like literally a coagulated mess of pilgrims that have travelled to Chinkare, to obviously drawn there by some kind of chaos whispers. And it's also had like a Hrud invasion. It's just weird. The Halo worlds are great because you can do whatever you like in the Halo worlds, and it will never break canon because it's nowhere near anything else.
So what are the Halo worlds? Because there's things that I've heard of, but I don't actually. Do you guys know what they are?
Yeah, just far away.
Halo stars are the edge of the galaxy. It's where Macarius lent his crusade and he stopped at the Halo stars because all of the commanders got scared that they were going to fall off the edge of the galaxy. So it's weird star systems on the edge of the system. Although
some hillbilly shit going on out there.
Well, exactly. I'm reading here on the lore that it says that after the 13th Black Crusade, the communication with this planet was lost and the status is unknown. So who knows what constitutes the football team from this planet? They've spent generations in the making. So the dropship opens and they've got 4 arms and
it's going to be like Space Jam. You know, where they make the Monstars and they're all like mutated guys who've got like a cannon in their chest that shoots a football out or something. Those guys are going through. I'm putting money on them.
I mean, I'd like to say that Mordian would go through. Maybe both Armageddon knock each other out.
maybe they do.
Yeah,
maybe we lose Armageddon.
Yeah.
I think maybe game 1, Armageddon 1 versus Armageddon 2, they just all kill each other and have to retire from the group. And Chinkare and Mordian auto go through.
So I'm gonna put Mordian in first, and then Chinkare, whatever it's called, second. Okay, so we've got our qualifications here. We can do the next group.
There we go. Mordian and Chinkare.
Group C.
Lost to warp storms for most of its history, this planet became home to constant feudal infighting. But can they come together this tournament? And have they got any tricks up their sleeves? It's Volistad.
Famed for illegally knocking Terra out with a goal that became known as the Hand of the Omnissiah. This team is all about technology on and off the pitch. Expect mechadendrites and robes everywhere. It is, of course, Mars.
Ex-home of the Selenar gene cults, Terra's moon is still associated with juicing travesties and was only allowed in the competition by greasing the High Lord's palms. I'm talking, of course, about Luna.
And finally, in Group C, it's home only to Ogrins. This team struggles to field a diversity of players, but expect strong defense and lots of Avit moments. It's Anarch Zeta.
Ooh. That's not the high gravity world where the Ogrins all get super acrobatic, is it?
No, but that sounds amazing.
Yeah,
I think we talked about it in our guard episode where there's like one Ogrin world where they're like it's like a prison world and it's got really high gravity, so they like look after the prisoners that slowly die by getting crushed by their own weight.
No
but as a result, do you not remember we did it in the Imperial Guard episode? We had the flipping Ogrins that are like ninja Ogrins that are like super cool and did flips and shit.
Oh, well, maybe they've got some of those guys that they've like, how players pretend like they're born in a different country. You know?
I did a genealogy thing and it turns out that I'm actually Jamaican and can play for the Jamaican team. Yeah.
So we've got some big teams in this group, really, haven't we?
Yeah. And what makes Volistad famous?
So Volistad is just, I think it's just one of many planets that kind of got sucked towards warp storms. But it just became like a feudal place. It's got 4 continents and 1 oceanic continent. So one hemisphere is entirely water, and then there's 4 continents on the other hemisphere, and they all have different houses, and they were fighting each other for thousands of years. Then chaos got a bit of a hold. Then the Imperium came, and in order to fight back, they found that they basically had a hidden chamber of titans on Volistad.
Oh, they were hidden for 7,000 years.
7,000 years hidden titans, including an Imperator.
Yeah.
So it all kind of went to shit, and the Imperium went and woke up the titans underneath. And so I don't know about their footballing prowess, but they're quite an interesting.
Well, yeah, there's no titans here to help them, but the planet seems like perfect for football, whereas Mars, I can't actually imagine the tech priests of Mars playing football. They'd probably be like, this game doesn't, like, what's the point? It doesn't make sense. I'm just going to go and make a
remote control Subutio.
It's like, we haven't really talked about it, but like, I guess that, the gravity of the planet you learned to play football on is really going to determine like what the game is to you. So like Mars has got like a lower gravity than Earth, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So they're all like, the goalies like scoring goals and shit in Mars because you like boot the ball and it just goes all the way down the fucking field, whereas like when they're on Terra rules with our GMG, Greenwich Mean Gravity, as we call it. They stuff's a bit different.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, Matt. You can imagine a planet that's split into 4 countries. They're going to have a lot of rivalry on and off the pitch,
But
it's
also one of those.
Football's quite feudal.
But it's also one of those things where if you come together as like as a planet, then you get the best of. That's the thing about sports, isn't it? It's good for uniting people of different opinions or whatever. So maybe they can like if they can put aside their differences, they might be a decent contender. But what's quite interesting about that world as well is you're saying that one half of this one of these continents is a water thing.
Yeah,
right?
It's basically just half water. Yeah.
And people live there because it's one of those things that I always feel is really missing in the 40k stuff.
Oh, I don't think so. I think it's just barren.
That's a shame. There's no water world community. Like, damn it.
No.
Oh well.
The water world would be good.
Bad for football, but good.
I was just thinking about Luna, and a moment ago, Stoney, you spoke about genealogy and being related to people in different teams. I think Luna might struggle because a lot of people on Luna might be related to people on Terra. So Terra is obviously the team they want to play for. All the big stars play for Terra, and the Luna team is like the C team of Earth.
Maybe say that. So... I think they're still living off past glories. You know, the days where their ancestors, the Selenar gene cult, essentially invented Space Marines. You know, they're like, oh, I remember the days where we used to win the World Cup, and now they're just a pale comparison of themselves. So, what are we really saying? Mars and Luna out of this group?
I think.
Well, I don't know. What's this Orgrin one? Because Orgrins don't look very good at football. Let's face it. I mean, they look more like they're good at like American football or something. You know, contact sport.
Yeah, I think. Maybe Mars would beat the Ogrins. Yeah, Mars would beat the. It would be like Sabutio. The tech priests and the ships would be controlling the pieces on the board.
All right, well, let's go Volostad win in the group then. Yeah, we know they've got a lot of football practice, and Mars in a close second.
I know, I still think maybe Mars would win. I think Matt's right. It's be like one of those. They've probably got like some kind of like algorithm, like you know when you play like one of those games of pool or Peggle. Have you ever played Peggle? And it's like a computer can work out where a ball's going to like drop and shit. It like It's like he's winged it on the right side of his foot. That means if old Gary does a header, you know, then he's gonna and then XYZ.
All right, you've convinced me. Mars in the top position.
Late in the game penalty, change those positions.
Oh, they'd fucking rule at penalties, Mars.
Yeah. They'd be able to all the aiming mechanisms. There we go. Extra time penalty, switch the group standings. Now we're on to Group D.
It's only a game, so put up a real good fight.
Being a gas giant, this team's players hail from the Jovian shipyards and surrounding moons. But will all of the hype turn out to just be hot air? Jupiter!
War and Gans come together under high wages from Coach Lord Helmore to bring a variety of flair to this hodgepodge team. It's Necromunda!
The first rule of Titan is not to talk about Titan, but the Grey Knights have come out of the shadows this evening. Expect hammer hands and trickery as we all hope not to be sucked into a vortex of doom. It's Titan.
Lost to the competition for millennia, after talk of ghosts and strange-sounding rain, these wetland dwellers are back. It's rain!
What? All right,
a planet called Rain.
I only know Necromunda out of this grouping.
All right. Well, yeah. Jupiter is uninhabitable, but obviously Jupiter's Jupiter, so it's in the solar system. But it is surrounded by Earth's shipyards. So there's lots of naval. Actually, there's loads of navy teams in this World Cup. So think of rum, gin, beating each other up, proper sailors and shipyards.
This is good football stock, good football team stock, lots of rivalry. You know,
yeah.
Popeye-style sailors with massive inflated forearms and tiny little biceps.
Exactly it.
But the Jovian shipyards are super cool, aren't they? It's essentially like a big metal ring around Jupiter that has all the docks and all the building for. It's where the entire kind of fleet for the Horus Heresy for the Great Crusade was made.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Cool. But I've got to say, if you're on a ship, again, you know, do you have a big football practicing area? I think you'd be better at cards and pool and stuff, right? Have you got
maybe, but you're forgetting the size of these ships.
Yeah, they've got massive halls. Yeah,
they've got an AstroTurf. Got to play.
Oh, I was waiting for that. So what else have we got on here? We've got Titan. So we did say that we weren't going to let Space Marine only teams appear, and I feel like maybe they've just appeared to kind of show off and then they're going to disappear again, because I'm pretty sure the only people that are allowed on Titan are Grey Knights.
Yeah.
Or maybe serfs. This is just a team of their like serfs, of their like Grey Knight servants that have picked up a few like magic tricks along the way.
But I mean, you know, but Grey Knights are all psychic as well, so they could do a little force nudge here and there on the old bull.
Yeah.
I mean, like, who would even know? So I get
the Grey Knights are in the crowd. Yeah, and maybe their serfs are playing, but the Grey Knights are actually in control of the ball from the crowd.
Well, we've got to have like a referee that's one of those like psyker assassin guys. You know,
the Knolls.
Like, the Knolls. If anyone does any psychic shit, their head just explodes.
And rain is quite interesting. I can't remember how I got onto this planet, but there's a group of different planets that were founded quite recently in the lore by the Imperium, but they've kind of lost communications with all these worlds. And the last thing to come from this particular planet was like scary astropathic images. So nobody knows what's happened to the planet. But it also kind of reminded me of Blade Runner, like with the rain. And I think I read there's something about them. They all had really pale skin, so they were like the robots.
Yeah.
I think that
like
it was
tears
like
in
weird,
the rain.
like kind of the astropathic images. I put ghost because it was easier, but like kind of strange white alien beings, and then it all kind of cuts off. And then other than that, I couldn't find out much about rain other than it was quite damp. And the rain sounds funny.
It sounds pretty emo. I'm pretty sure that I've stumbled across rain in our researchings for things as well. I can't remember for the life of me what it is, but yeah, maybe it's all kind of like the Crow. Oh, I can't rain all the time.
Yeah,
that guy. It's like that. It's all full of like moody Crow type guys.
The Raven Guard would be nightmare on rain because their fringes would be so damp. They'd be forever in their eyes. They wouldn't get them out.
The Imperium gel planet would shut down its order though. Many of those would have to be exterminatist.
Yeah.
I've got so much wet look on rain. I don't need you anymore.
I think Navy brute force.
I think the Navy teams, they've got a lot of practice again. This is going to come down to how much football is being played. And I think I can see the same with Necromunda. I can see that the gangs are playing a lot. They're playing against each other, like the European teams. They're playing against each other all the time. And then actually they've got to come together to represent their entire planet. I see a Necromunda team made up of a player from each type of gang. That's bringing a lot of diversity.
Yeah. They've got like a Delac manager in a big like fur-lined long coat.
And a kind of couple of Goliath defenders and maybe some Eschers up front, weaving their way. Maybe that one like mental Paul Scholes like redemptionist in the midfield just doing crazy shit.
A spunky young Caldor guy, Jew. Young Caldor Jew.
The ship from Rain kind of turns up and it's just empty, and there's no one on it because the planet doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, they haven't made it there.
A bunch of water comes out. It's all flooded on the inside. I feel like this group D here with these teams, they all come from like. None of these planets scream good for playing football to me. Like I say, I think there's space issues in all of these. This is like the Jamaican bobsled team in Cool Runnings. They're all unlikely people to get there, as far as I'm concerned. So I'm not sure this is a strong group. But yeah, I still think Necromunda's got to go first, I reckon.
Yeah, Necromunda first. We'll put Jupiter second.
Yeah, I think Titan gets a DQ. I think Titan gets disqualified because they try to use some psychic power shit and they get rumbled and it's a whole massive scandal.
Fair enough.
Let's go on to Group E.
That's halfway through the groups.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. Halfway through the groups. If you were watching one of those boring UEFA pick things where it's like the lottery where they've got a ball machine, they pick ping pong balls out, you'd be halfway done by now. And it would cost you, look at this, you haven't even had to buy a Sky Sports subscription. So let's get on with it. Group E.
From a world where even the grass can eat you, this team will show no fear. And with quads and biceps like theirs, they'll be going far. That's right, they're from Katachan.
Expect Codex compliant play from this team, but don't let the boredom make you too blue. They've been known to slip one in as the opposition begin to snooze. It's Calth.
A demon planet lost in the Fall, formerly a crone world of the Eldar. Now ruled by the demon prince of Slanesh, Estravaga Unpronounceable, who spends eternity torturing the souls of the fallen Eldar by boiling them in their own tears. It's the world of immortal sorrows.
This team's ability to hunt down the ball with pack-like precision serves them well, but will their animalistic nature overcome their drilled teamwork? It's Fenris.
Oh, this is an interesting group.
It's a good group. It's a good group.
Strong group.
This is everything Group D wasn't.
Yeah.
I mean,
Blimey.
some of these matches would be absolutely horrendous.
Yeah, it's going to be messy.
I mean, I'm just coming up straight off the bat. Calth's quite interesting because the planet got wrecked in the Horus Heresy, and now they have the planet is still populated. It's a hive world. They have hive cities underground, which is quite a interesting take on the hive city. Listen to our previous episode, but I don't think they're going to go through personally.
Calth is Ultramarines, right?
Yeah, it's in Ultramar. They're not going to get the fan support, are they? I mean,
no.
I feel like they're going to be the whatever the FIFA equivalent is in this cup that we're putting on. They're going to be the poster boys. They're on everything. They're on the McDonald's adverts.
Brazil,
but no one wants to watch them. They're
one of those teams that people support because they want to wear the blue of the kit. You know, it's like
Argentina.
Like I'm unimaginative. I buy the bluest kit that I can find because I'm a boy.
All right, well, let's just chuck Calth out because Sonic, we don't even want to watch him play.
Yeah.
So I think Catachan Fenris is going to be a hell of a game. You've got the fightiest humans. Then, I mean, we're not putting the Space Wolves in, but you've got to imagine the guys that are living with the Space Wolves are pretty badass as well.
Yeah.
I see this as being like Vikings versus Predator jungle fighters.
I mean, the temperature of Earth, you know, of Terra is going to be a bit of a like. This is the thing, right? You know how like the current World Cup's in Qatar, right? They had to do it in the winter because it was too hot in the summer and all this kind of stuff, right? Well, like obviously Catachan, that's a hot fucking jungle planet, right? So they're used to running around in the heat. Fenris, that's a cold ass fucking ice planet, right? So they're used to running around in the cold. They come to merry old fucking Terra. Right, that's like a standard. They're both going to be uncomfortable. This is the thing. They're both like one of them's got like big padded shorts on. I don't know for running around. They're not going to be in their element. Here's what I want to propose to you: is both of them are not going to be in their element. But can you imagine the joy of being pitched out of a vat of your own burning tears onto a football pitch and being asked to play football and knowing that if you go through to the next group that you will be allowed to play football again and escape your planet of burning boiled tears?
So I mean I think the what is it, the world of immortal shadows, I think they should go through sorrow. Oh, okay. I think they should go through, and I think we should just roll a dice for Catachan or Fenris, because I could see that being quite an even game. Okay,
it's Fenris go through. Fenris.
Well, there we go. Well, Fenris and World of Immortal Sorrows.
Group F.
They may stand, but can they play football? That awaits to be seen. With an all-new lineup courtesy of ex-manager Ezekiel Abaddon's training policies. It's Cadia!
This team performs best in muddy and foggy conditions and have received a number of red cards for bringing shovels in the past. It's Krieg!
Known as the Spanners, these grim miners, shipbuilders and Navy veterans are used to intense heat and pressure, but can they perform under the lights of this cup? It's Baka.
Imperial dockyard workers here are the natural rivals to those of Baka, and full of brawls have broken out in the past between these teams, colloquially known as the Wrenches. It's Bellus Corona.
So we've got some rivals here. Some dockyard planet cluster rivals. Blimey.
Jesus. We've got Millwall West Ham. What's happened?
The Spanners versus the Wrenches. Blimey.
So what's going on? So who are these Spanners and who are these Wrenches? Let's hear more about them.
Bellus Corona is I don't know why, but I've always been fascinated with this planet. I've actually got two blue, a Lehman Russ, a blue camouflaged Lehman Russ, and a blue camouflaged Chimera written on the front of the dozer blades. They're from Bellus Corona. At some point, there'll be a picture on the LBP Instagram of this. It's a lesser known planet. It comes from basically the Eye of Terror, but it's an important Imperial dockyard. It's become more important since the fall of Cadia. It still stands with the Imperium. It's also a massive ammunition dump. So these guys are going to be hefting out some boxes
And then Backer is basically the same, more of the same. It's another mine. These mining societies really build strong players. You know, they're fighting each other. Mining company. Friday night 5-a-side. I've heard they're really into that.
They've lost all their fingers in factory machinery, so they have to get good with their feet. I got you.
Yeah, they Tony Iommi style playing with
exactly
with plastic fingertips, listening to the heavy metal after side.
They've got fairy liquid tub feet. They've got fairy liquid feet on. They're like doing some sick skills. Like, look, I lost my foot to a fucking ammunition press, and now I'll cobble some together out of these future 40K fairy
footballer.
What do you call it when like Manchester United play Man City? What is that called? And
derby,
Liverpool
derby.
A derby. Yeah, this is the derby. It's the Imperial Derby.
Well, I think we might have a similar situation to Armageddon here, really, that these two, let's face it, lower league teams compared to Cadia and Krieg are probably going to get so many red cards playing each other.
They've got 9 legs between them. They're you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, let's put Krieg and Cadia through then.
All right.
I think I'll put Krieg at top just because, you know, they're obviously World War One stylized, and you can imagine back on Krieg in the super factories that those factory teams, just like in actual history, will have a strong camaraderie and teamship, and they're very good at a local sport. So let's put them in. I thought you were going to say,
just like the World War, they went over the trenches for a game of Christmas football in no man's land.
Oh my God, that was amazing. Yeah, you beat me there, Welchie. Yeah, the football game on no man's land. Excellent. Okay, Group G. Let's go on to Group G.
We never really know what kind of team will be fielded by this floating labyrinth, but with every species or race undecided, expect spectacular things. It's a Blackstone fortress!
The second most faithful planet in the Imperium, players have been known to self-flagellate at half-time. Let's hope no one misses a penalty, but will their prayers be answered in this tournament? It's Ophelia 7.
These Tau newcomers certainly have a reputation for hoofing it, but can that take their weak-ass blue bodies through to the finals? It's Taros.
Galaxy champions at tank football. Will this team be able to cope with the agoraphobia of the open pitch? It's Talon. Let's hear a little bit about this. We've got a Tau team in this group. That's a bit unexpected, right? Do you think they're going to be good at... Are they going to be good at hoofball? Do they have hoofball and Tau communities?
Well, I mean, this was the planet. We spoke about this a bit in the Tau episode, I think, because there's an Imperial Armor book about this place. It's very Tatooine like inspired. There's a book about it, but the Tau took it over. But there's humans on the world, so you could almost imagine that half the team are humans and half the team are people that won't remove their helmets. So maybe they're Tau. So the human auxiliaries and Tau. So it's a Xeno
Tau team.
Tau, like
half and half.
What am I trying to say? I don't know. Yeah,
human Tau team.
Politically correct Xeno team. Yeah,
giving them a chance. You know. Did you happen to notice when you were reading about Taros what the Tau call it?
No.
They call it Taros, but with an apostrophe after the T.
Excellent. Yeah.
Fuck's sake.
It's that kind of quick thinking that means they're allowed to play.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not being funny here, right? But haven't Tau got their kind of legs on backwards? They've got like kind of dog's legs, don't they? They've got like, can you kick with a foot like that?
It's a very technical question. But again, I mean, their human auxiliaries could. So maybe the Tau could be in goal, and maybe it's got on its helmet. It's got really good ball following.
I think they've got kind of like a horse leg, you know, like they can kick really good backwards. They've like probably got like the back kick that will fucking take your fucking head off, you know. But like their front kick, I'm not so sure about.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
not.
They're going up against some tough competition here. I mean, Talon are tough guys, right? Their planet was virus bombed and they're still there. But I am a little bit scared how they're going to react to You know, they're used to spending their time in tunnels and in tanks because they can't breathe the air. You put them on a big open pitch, are they going to cope with that?
It's going to be like playing at altitude.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
think they're going to find it
they
very
make
strange.
they make hardy soldiers do the Talon, famous regiments in the guard.
But what else makes hardy soldiers and players is faith. We all know the importance of faith in the Imperium, and you don't get a more faithful planet than Ophelia.
I mean, this planet is really interesting. So at some point, I mean, this planet is like Rome and Constantinople in a way. I mean, this is, and various other places at various points in the imperial history, this has been more holy than Terra. Well, not necessarily more holy, but the head of the imperial church has been based here rather than on Terra at some point. So this is a cathedral world. It's the prime example of what do they call them? It's the cathedral worlds.
Yeah,
there's a name for them. Yeah, it's literally a world-spanning cathedral. So they're very pious. I mean, they're going to be like
well drilled
altar boys,
but also very hard on themselves.
But what, does being religious make you good at sport? I mean, what?
No,
like, you know, is Vatican City in the fucking World Cup? Do you know what I mean? I don't think so.
That is a very good. I mean, that's a pub quiz kind of question. But that is a good question.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
If it's the smallest country, I mean,
they're probably going to be. They're going to be incensed by whatever the Blackstone Fortress team is deploying this year, though. Because let's be honest, you don't know what's walking out of a Blackstone Fortress.
I think that Blackstone Fortress team is going to be tasty because they've got it's like a future dungeon, isn't it? It's like, you know, they've got all this crazy shit in there, stuff that we haven't even seen. They've got those weird robot things, those beastmen, robots. They've got everything. Whatever you can imagine is running around in a Blackstone Fortress.
I mean, we could say it is like the best bits of the Blackstone Fortress game. So yeah, Zote, Beastmen. What else was in there? There was there was that squat guy, that massive Xenos thing.
The Amble was in there.
The Amble, the Amble, yeah.
The weird, those weird AI things, those like
the funny spindle drones.
Spindle drones.
Okay, well, I'm seeing Blackstone as the top here, and then we've got faith versus versus politically correct versus horses. Never been outside a tank.
I mean, Stoney, I can't remember what the context was, but before you mentioned about we've spoken about home support, but also teams getting support when they play in other places, and I think Ophelia 7 will have the biggest support when they play on Terra. So they're like the home from home team, and home support, crowd support does actually count for something. And I actually think they're going to spend all their
time. I think they're going to spend all their time praying, not enough time out there practicing, doing laps, doing push-ups, doing the shit that they need to do to actually get good at football.
Well, then,
you know what I mean?
Okay,
but we can't have the Tal go through because this is the last podcast, so it's Talon.
I'll go with Talon. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go with Talon. So,
I'm going Tal. I'm think they've backwards kicked their way through this group.
Are we gonna have to roll for this?
I'm doing it. I'm saying it.
We'll roll for it.
Roll for it. Incidentally, they're called cardinal worlds.
So I've rolled the company dice, and as I rolled it, it levitated off of the keyboard and started speaking to me with the wishes of the Emperor, and said that Ophelia 7 has to go through.
Check up the fucking man, who's the match?
Group H.
Used to playing the game in 0G, this team excel at headers and bicycle kicks, but will their jump packs be any use here? It's Alicia.
Another Forge World home of the Adaptus Mechanicus. This team will be all about technology and hard-hitting servo skulls. It's Konar.
A planet shrouded in almost complete darkness. Birmingham's players can even see in the dark, and they will be aiming to open up your eyes to their new way of play. That's right, it's Birmingham.
Take no notice of this team's excessive number of pitchside medical staff, regular injections, or the odd player with 3 arms. These are one of the Imperium's finest offerings. It's Vajovium 3.
Ooh, this is a tasty final group.
Blimey, we've got a
What's
real
going on?
mixture here.
Yeah. Elysia is we touched on them, I think, in the guard episode. They were the Forge World special, the drop troops. Yeah. So it's kind of very a low grav, floating cities, floating world, crazy kind of sci-fi shit. Not necessarily what you want in a football team.
I imagine it a lot like where they make the clones on Star Wars. I can't remember what that planet's called. The kind of floating disc cities, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
shiny floating disc.
Exactly that. I mean, they've probably watched that film. I mean, this is from like 2004, so yeah, they probably watched that film and then wrote about this.
Ripped it straight off.
yeah.
We've got
Conor.
Conor
is interesting, and I can't remember why. I mean, the planet. If you look at if you look up a picture of the planet, it looks like a giant AdMech eye. It's quite ridiculous.
It's got like a whole ring. It's got like a Grand Canyon that goes round the whole planet, hasn't it? But it's a Grand Canyon of like steel.
I mean, it's kind of like a red Death Star because there's some sort of power device in the middle. It's part of the Ultramar 500 worlds. It's in the Ultramar segmentum.
They're going to be angry that they've seen Calf go out immediately.
They are. But it's a very, very important AdMech Forge world. And I mean, Birmingham is a large podcast favourite.
It is, yes. You know.
It is. It's where Ozzy Osbourne's from.
It is.
Is he the captain? Is there some like 40k Aussie?
Yeah, we'll have Ozzy Osbourne.
They're gonna be very angry about the Dakar players with the fairy liquid feet.
Yeah.
Well, then we've got Vajovium 3, which may not necessarily be Imperial because Vajovium 3 was infested with the Twisted Helix gene stealer cult. So those guys, they're going to be juiced up on all kinds of shenanigans, multiple limbs, multiple arms. You know, whether they can get that by the ref or not, I don't know. But it's a fairly evenly matched group, I think.
I feel like Elysia, I feel like they've got to be out, right? They've got to be really shit. Yeah. They've spent a lifetime of kicking balls into the ether. How many to train their team, they must have almost crippled their planet with the budget for making rubber footballs or whatever they made leather footballs, because every time they fuck it up, they boot it
imagine them
go get it from my neighbour's house. It's like I've literally booted it off the planet.
Yeah. I imagine them entering for the start of the match, from the stands, all really cool with fireworks going off, and they jetpack in, and then the first one goes to kick it and just breaks his toes because he's never kicked something in standard G before.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's like got hollow bones like a bird. You can't withstand the gravity.
I am trying to think. I mean, it's a bit like the USA team. They've got a whole mega country behind them. Nobody back there really cares, and they turn up and they don't do that well. And they're always there, but they don't do that well.
Whereas I think that, there's not much else to do in Birmingham than turn on the TV and watch your local team. So I reckon there's a lot of support there. I'm going Birmingham and Vajovium. I think Vajovium are going to be...
Either in Birmingham, you're either playing metal or playing football, and in Vajovian, you're either juicing up on Gene Stealer jizz or making novelty T-shirts equating Vajovian to Vajovian. So that's the only two prospects you've got on that planet.
And you can imagine the Footballers' Wives episodes in the back of a Gene Stealer limo.
Oh, yeah. Oh, excellent. Yeah, well, for that reason, Vajomian are coming first.
I've been Googling fake Gene Stealer cult limo for years, and I still get nothing. I'm dry. Haven't jacked it in years.
So there we go. The group stages are complete.
So, random topic generator. It's the part of the show. You know what time it is, long-time listener. We let Lady Luck decide what we're going to talk about using the company dice. And Welshie, I know the company dice has already got some rolls this time today, but can you roll it again and tell us what's going on?
It's hot. It's a 3.
It's a 3. It's always a goddamn 3, but it's a 3 again. And this time it is, what 40k faction do you think you could live without? So if Games Workshop was like, I am going to remove a faction from 40k, what faction do you think that would be, and why? I guess as well.
Should we rule out Votan because it's an easy go-to at this stage?
That's
They've
true.
barely got a time to get established at this point.
What could I live without?
That is an interesting question.
I've seen this question previously. I'm gonna be straight up with you. I saw this question before we rolled the dice, and I was thinking about it, and I thought like in terms of lore, for me it would probably be Tau. But at the same time, Tau have been around for long enough that they're quite established in the lore and things. And there's Tau battles and stuff that make sense and all the rest of it. So it's kind of like maybe Gene Stealer cults, because they could still, even though I play them and I love the army and everything, they could still exist in the lore without necessarily existing as an army on the battlefield. Do you know what I mean? But that said, I do love the army. That said, and it's the army I fucking play. So
would it be a cop out if I said Custodian Guard?
No, I think that's pretty fair. To be honest, that's the same kind of shit.
I just think custodians just don't need to exist as an army because they're not an army. They're like 20 models. It's like playing. It's like playing 40k against a kill team. And like you just said, Stoney, like they can exist still in the lore, like they used to 10 years ago. They were just they were the entity everyone knew about that was just on Earth protecting the Emperor. That's what they did. They existed, but they weren't an army. So I think all of the other armies actually offer a nice bit of leverage. Like even Tau, they kind of offer they offer something, whereas the Custodian faction just doesn't.
Yeah,
they're just souped up Space Marines.
All the old school stuff, is kind of so canon now. It's even like Sisters of Battle or something like that, which is a fairly new old school army. It's kind of like, it's hard to imagine 40k without them, whereas like these new, but then are we just playing into the fact, is it canon just because it's been around for long enough? Do you know what I mean? Or is it like, what could 40k actually just live without?
I think, and this is, I think it is a big one, but there's a reason for it. And I think it would make playing 40k more fun and more thematic. I might actually say demons as a singular army, because I would much prefer to see demons rolled in, as they almost always are by people, played as part of a chaos army. And I think having them as completely separate, like Custodes, I'd like to see an Imperium army where you could mix and match some Guard with some Inquisition with some Custodes, and proper mixing chaos armies where there is chaos and demons together, rather than having the separate codices, which throws up all kinds of issues when you're playing the game these days.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with you actually. Like, and these are my two armies, so I'm not fucking myself real hard here. but I do agree with you. I always think that demons work, like they're so much cooler when they're mixed with Chaos Space Marines. It's kind of like, that's why I thought that, and I've talked about it a number of times, but like that Khorne Bloodkin codex that came out, that was literally like, you started off with Chaos Space Marines, and the more shit you killed, the more like demons you could summon and stuff, and that was really fucking cool. And that was kind of like how I'd really like to. And and at the time, that was back in end of 7th, and a lot of people kind of did their own like fan made codexes for the other gods. So there was like the Nurgle one where instead of blood tokens you got plague tokens, and like all this kind of stuff. And I'd really like to see Chaos used in that way more, so that you could choose to play a straight Chaos Space Marine army, or you could go, hey, you know what, I'm feeling funky, I'm gonna throw a sorcerer or something in there and get this.
I think that's definitely the case for me. I think all of the models and all of the lore has its place, but I don't think they need to be separated. Almost like if everything was a bit like Eldar, but they've tried to do it with Eldar now, but the different craft world options that you can mix together have started to become their own kind of codexes now, and they just don't need to. If you want to mix and match your Eldar, mix and match your Eldar.
What about, I mean, similarly to like we're talking about with Custodes and G-Stealer cults and stuff, what about Harlequins? Again, another spin-off army that like is kind of a little unnecessary in a way.
Just play it as Eldar.
Yeah.
But as you said, Stoney, if we went full bazooka, I was kind of imagining what faction could you completely eradicate so that they never existed at all, and it
I mean,
wouldn't
they did
change
it in the
that
past
much.
with the squats, didn't they? They were like
Yeah,
full
they
on.
did.
If you played Rogue Trader and you were a squats player, and then they were just like, boom, it's gone. Imagine if that happened like tomorrow. If they were just like, right, fuck it, orcs done, or something like that. Or like, can you imagine?
I think it's
like
knights. Knights have
Imperial
no
Knights.
impact. I could not tell you where knights had come in and saved the day, or where knights had fought a war.
Yeah.
They're just part of other things fighting wars.
Yeah.
You could, because there's millions of stuff bigger than them, smaller than them, and there's loads of stuff bigger than them.
Yeah.
So you could remove them completely from the lore, and it wouldn't. Yeah, I agree.
They're the most obvious thing that was made up to sell £100 models.
Yeah. It allows Games Workshop to sell a Titan that isn't a Titan.
But they are fucking cool, though. They are fucking cool.
They're not as cool as
Custodians.
Titans.
I feel like we could get rid of Custodians.
They're not as cool as Titans.
Oh yeah, all right, okay.
Yeah,
right.
but if you
Harlequins,
if you
Custodes.
yeah, no, you
demons.
can't remove Custodes from the lore.
Fuck it! I'm going Space Marines. I want Space Marines.
I actually nearly said Space Marines, but
Can you imagine having to explain Chaos Space Marines to someone without Space Marines existed?
Yeah, if it just changed so that like Chaos just won and all the Space Marines just became.
Wait, so you're
Chaos.
telling me like 100% of the chapters turned bad? Okay, interested.
Yeah.
So welcome back, sports fans. We've got 16 teams to go through to the quarterfinals. We're going to blast through them real quick. Hopefully you remember what we were talking about before. From Group A, we have Valhalla versus Chinkara, which were the weird demon-y all-star guys, right? The Monster all-stars.
Yeah.
Guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm saying Valhalla.
I'll go
Doesn't matter how
Valhalla
scary
too.
the demon are.
Yeah.
Valhalla's
I want the
going
demon
nowhere.
guys to win, but it's 2 against 1. So, that's how it goes.
Okay.
All right, so next round, we've got Mars versus Jupiter. Jupiter's just a big ball of gas, and Mars is an actual planet, right? So I still think Mars. They've got the algorithm to how to win football, I reckon.
Oh yeah. I mean,
I'm with you there.
home game for the Soul System.
What
I'll
the
go
people
Mars as
working
well.
on the Jupiter are just like not as good as the people who are working on Mars. So
Yeah.
So next up, we've got Fenris versus Cadia. What do we reckon to this? I reckon it's got to be Fenris because Cadia got blown the fuck up.
I think it's definitely the
yeah.
Cadia B team that we've got here.
Yeah.
They've lost half their planet. They can't draw on as many people. You could argue that they're the veterans, but I want Fenris to win. They're Vikings. Viking people versus well-dressed military people.
Cadian veterans don't play football. They're out on the front line.
Fenris it is.
We've got Mordanian versus Olenissis, the big fat planet versus the Iron Guard guys. So, smartly dressed men versus a guy that pair of tracksuit bottoms wouldn't even fit. So,
I think there's only so long Olensis can get away with being an entire planet.
I think
let's not forget what an advantage being an entire planet is, though.
Unless Stoney, the Mordians have bought some cakes and put them outside the stadium.
You don't think he ain't seen no cakes? This is a part of him. We're talking about this is his toe. He's already eating cakes. You don't think there ain't mountains of cake being shoveled into his mouth by Slanesh every day?
I don't know. I mean, if we carry on with this logic, he'll win the cup. He can't possibly win He's won. He's not a team. I think at some point.
I mean, these are just well-dressed people he's against. Maybe he needs to get through. Maybe they're not enough.
No. There's many a fool has thought that they're just well-dressed people. They're also well-drilled people, quite capable of attack and defense, more than capable of taking out a big fat person. I think they'll go full-on bayonet charge in the middle of the game.
Well, I mean, you say that, but do either of you guys know the story of Olenisius of before when he became a big planet? Do you guys remember this? Do you remember the story of that?
No.
Well, he was the world's greatest football player, soccer player, if you will.
Was he?
Do you remember that?
Do you remember? Is it?
And
Okay.
and at half time he had he was like, I'm going to restrain myself. I'll only have one half an orange, and then he had a second half an orange, and then he ended up eating until that half of an orange, that orange slice, was tainted by Slanesh.
I've heard both of your arguments that he's got literally a toe on the pitch. and that should be enough. But if there's anything less painful, or anything more painful even, than a bayonet under your toenail, I don't know what it is.
For me, it reminds me of images of seeing Maradona coked up on cocaine. He wouldn't be able to play football anymore.
Imagine that, but as a planet.
So yeah, the Morning Iron Guard, take it. Sorry. But we need to go back up to this one.
So next up, we've got Blackstone Fortress versus Birmingham.
Oh no. I think as much as we love Birmingham may have met its end here.
Oh no.
Poor Aussie. He's going to have to look.
I think, no. Why?
Because it's the Blackstone Fortress. They've got a Zote. What's Birmingham got against the Zote?
Aussie. Stoney, what are you saying?
It's a tough one. This is a difficult match, because like they're both quite similar to me, really, because let's face it, when you're in the Blackstone Fortress, you're looking in the nooks and crannies for the weirdest individual you can find with as many legs and as many arms as you can, much like it from Birmingham. So I feel like they're very evenly matched in this regard. So, but at the same time, I still think Birmingham, it's pluckier. It's good. I feel like Birmingham is the guys, I mean, they've got the Zote in goal, but I feel like after this is going to be a classic case of they've been living in the shadows in that Blackstone Fortress. They come out, they get a taste of the limelight, they win their first game. Women are throwing their bras at them. Everything's going crazy. They come out the second time. They've been out doing a bunch of coke, living the high life. They ruined it. They were one-hit wonders. They were SoundCloud rappers.
I think Birmingham. What Birmingham's got. I think this game goes to penalties, and Birmingham has the guy who's got the weight of the world on his shoulders, but he always has because he's from Birmingham, and he's no pressure. Just pops it in the top corner.
So next up, we've got Necromunda versus Volistad.
Gang rivalry making a team versus continental rivalry making a team.
Yeah.
Right. So I feel like Necromunda's going to be a dirty team, right? They've got to be there's going to be some fouls. There's going to be some diving.
Yeah.
I really like these continents in Volistad that these four the players are going to be drawn from. These four continents, they're going to be pretty similar to each other. I just don't think you can top that variety of skill that Necromunda's going to bring.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Only last episode we said the Necromunda reminded us of the Favela, so maybe they are the Brazilian team.
Next up, we've got Krieg and the World of Immortal Sorrows.
Oh, I what you said before about being tipped out of a vat of acid, you're going to really want to stay in the competition.
These poor crying Eldar, this is their first time out of being boiled in their own tears for a long time. So at least they can do is rehydrate, they can get themselves a bottle of water.
But Stoney, I think what you're underestimating here is that even in comparison to the pain of being on the World of Immortal Sorrow, Krieg's faced it.
Yeah.
It ain't as bad as being on Krieg, and they don't even complain about it.
No.
I kind of see where you're coming from here. So you're saying if the guys on Krieg were as pussy as these goddamn Eldar, then that planet would be full of tears as well. But they hold it in. They fight it
basically
back and get on with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. This is mud beats tears in this scenario.
That's a great matchup. Yeah.
It really is. This is who has the worst life matchup?
Yeah. And Krieg wins.
Yeah, so back in the fucking paddling pool World of Immortal Sorrows team, you're going back home. All right, so next pairing, we've got the Jovium 3 and Velia 7.
So we've got all the ones with the digits.
We've got the digit teams. I can't remember what either of these guys did.
So we've got Twisted Helix, Gene Stealer Cult versus Faithful Servants of the Emperor.
The second most faithful
Vatican City.
Vatican City of the Imperium,
I still don't even know why Vatican City are in this motherfucker.
I told you the dice levitated. It spoke to me.
Yeah, they're getting home support.
There was nothing I could do about it.
This is the second round. They've all got cramps from this time. They've been down there. They haven't been in the fucking getting a speech, a proper speech from their Brian Clough style manager. They've been praying, looking to the Omnissiah. They've been kneeling down, not been hydrating properly. They need Lucozade and a ham sandwich. That's what they need in the half time, and they've got the cramp.
They can pray all they want, but not under the shadow of the warp. They ain't getting any prayers answered, that's for sure. It's got to be for Jovian.
Jovian 3.
Buckle down, sports fans. It's time to suck it up and go to the pub with your football supporting mates and watch the quarterfinals because your team's through, apparently. And now it means you've got to be interested in football all of a sudden. All right, we've got the quarterfinals. So, first round, Valhalla versus Mars. So, Mars, a favourite to win, in my opinion, anyway. These guys.
I completely agree here. I think the Valhallan defense has served it well up until this point, but they're coming up against a top tier trickery team here.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Mars, the Sabutio control, tactical acumen. Yeah, takes them through.
Yeah, that's it. They've got the algorithm.
Actually, it was quite a boring quarterfinal, and actually Mars kind of breezed through, so they're into the semis.
All right,
well, semi just thinking about it.
We've got our second semi for the day then with Welshies there coming up. All right, so next up we've got Fenris versus Birmingham. So who do we think here?
Well, Birmingham are all like Forge, so it's Hammer versus it's the Hammer of the Vikings versus the Anvil of Birmingham.
I found some like different stuff about Birmingham. I found like kind of two contradictory sort of planetary descriptions for Birmingham. One where it was kind of like a manufactorum and it was about the Death Eagles lived there, and another one where it said it was a feudal world where it was like, but this might be like two different times because I think the manufactorum got blown up and it turned it back into a feudal world for a while where they had all like muskets and shit because they used to recruit people, and harbingers are from Birmingham as well as what they say is what. So I think initially it was the Death Eagles was a big factory planet, got blown up. They all went back to using sticks and gunpowder weapons, and then eventually built back up into big manufactorum. So it survives, it keeps going. It's got Ozzy Osbourne. I still think Birmingham.
Yeah,
Leon Edwards, Ozzy Osbourne, the Chuckle Brothers. Let's have it, Birmingham. Let's go through.
Yeah, I'm with you. Fenris, they can do ice hockey.
What do they play on Fenris anyway? The Space Wolves play Tabernacle. What's it called?
Hanafatafel.
Yeah, that's what they play. It's not even their main sport. Yes, so Birmingham, easy.
Yeah. So next up, Mordian versus Necromunda. So what do we reckon? The Iron Guard, the steel epaulets of the Mordian Iron Guard.
That's right, against the scum of the earth.
I feel like this is going to be a real travesty game where the Mordian Iron Guard are down to win it right to the last minute, where some kind of cheating causes something to go. The Necromundans distract the ref and bring one of the Mordian Guard down in the box, and the penalty isn't given, and they feel like they're out the game.
Too optimistic in a way. I feel like, you know, if this is like real football, then it's like FIFA and it's all horribly corrupt and everything, and they're like, oh, we don't want these. Like, how did fucking Necromunda get here? They're all like fucking gangsters and shit. We don't really want them in here. Whereas Mordian, they're like, oh, they're good, honest fucking soldier boys. We want them to go through. So I reckon if any underhanded dealings going on, I think that maybe it's gone the other way to like, you know,
as you think someone's like snuck into the changing rooms and like cut one of the Achilles is Goliath's Goliath's Achilles or something.
Yeah, he's put itching powder in his body grease.
Stuff like
that, you know.
Turns out the Delac manager has been under the pay of the FIFA for the whole time.
Brian Cloughed it.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Mordian go through due to dubious off-pitch Necromunda
shenanigans.
Necromunda hating.
Okay.
Maybe they just pay off all of the gangers. It might just be that.
Yeah,
maybe that's it.
Yeah.
They all take a dive as soon as the match starts. They all instantly dive onto the floor. Okay.
Final quarterfinal.
Final quarterfinal. Krieg versus Vajovium 3. So, what do we reckon here?
Oh, this is going to be a good.
So
match.
Vajonium 3 is the Gene Stealer cult. Hidden Gene Stealer cult versus Krieg. Man,
it's tough because they're going to be bigger. They're going to be physically more able. The Gene Stealer cult. But if they're using like poisons and stuff, Krieg's just going to be immune to that.
Yeah,
aren't they?
Yeah, and they've got shovels.
I mean, it's kind of like, you know how we've talked about it before as well, like Gene Stealer cults can't set up in orc communities because they show up and they're not violent enough to keep up with the orcs. So like Gene Stealer cults can infect orcs, but the Gene Stealers come out more chill than your normal orc, so they usually get like destroyed by just normal orc society before they've got a chance to establish, right? That's kind of that's law, right? Well, our Krieg just standard their society more violent than a Gene Stealer cult. Do you know what I mean? Is this maybe like a Gene Stealer cult scenario? Because it's kind of like we said, they've just beaten a world of people that are being boiled alive in their own tears in a sorrow match. Do you know what I mean? Like they've lived a hard life, and I feel like maybe even though these guys are Gene Stealer cult, whatever, these guys are nothing but ponces to the Krieg. Krieg are like, I'll fucking chew these boys up for breakfast.
I also see what might have happened to the Twisted Helix here, because we know that the way the cults move around the galaxy is to export cultists to other worlds, right? And I could see a potential here where maybe some of the higher hierarchy of the Vajovian team has kind of wandered off round Terra now, where this is being held. And all that you've got left are the little tiny Gene Stealers, like the dude with the little conical flask. So like the team's just been getting kind of smaller and smaller till it's all the people that were starting on the bench, because the big guy with 3 arms is off, like, I don't know what they do, fucking someone's eye socket to turn him into a G-Stealer down in the Imperial Palace. So maybe the Vajovian team by this point is not what it was at the start.
I think so. I feel like the Vajovian team's main support was done by the fact you can be like, I support Vajonium, therefore I am a Vajonian. And then you'd be like, and that's it. You get that printed on a T-shirt, novelty T-shirt, sell 1 million copies or whatever, But like, other than that, I feel like that Krieg has got to beat them out.
So Krieg through.
So we have a nice grouping of 4 finalists here.
We've got Mars, we've got Birmingham, we've got Mordian, and we've got Krieg. Shit, wow. So there's a lot. There's a lot of Imperial. There's a lot of Imperial Guard in there, isn't there? That's like 3 Imperial Guard recruiting planets, isn't it? Birmingham.
Is Birmingham Imperial Guard? Okay.
Well, it recruits something, or Astro Militari.
Stoney, all worlds of the Imperium are Imperial Guard recruiting planets.
Not the shit ones. Not fucking lame-ass pussy planet or whatever they've got. You don't hear about those, so no one comes from them.
Well,
so we've got Mars versus Birmingham.
Yeah.
We've got drudgery versus technology. We've got mecha dendrites and servo skulls versus very liquid feet.
It's like the DIY version of what the Mechanicum have.
This is quite a nice pairing. This is like the beginnings of the Industrial Revolution versus the outcome.
I mean, if we're going musically, this is like some tech ass metal. Some like I don't know what's like versus.
Yeah, what's Mars music?
Yeah, I mean that's like proper tech shit. That'll be like I don't know what, like Dream Theater, something shit like that.
Oh yeah.
Like, I've got a drum kit like proggy. Like, you've got a drum kit with like 75 cymbals.
Well, I think what we haven't mentioned at all in this that's quite big in football, or at least so I'm told, listeners, believe me, we know nothing about sport, is the video ref. And I feel like
VAR,
maybe in this game, the VAR might come into play. And I see a possible situation where Mars tries to hack the VAR. And in response, a kind of security EMP pulse goes off that essentially any Mars trickery that was in play, any targeting reticules, they're out. Yeah. And now it's just metal versus plastic,
Yeah, and who knows? They may have been doing this in previous matches. It's just Birmingham have got their shit together, and they know that their opponent could be hacking the systems.
Mars think they're cleverer than the system, but they're not. Yeah, this is Terra. Mars isn't cleverer than Terra.
In real world, I mean, VAR has been massive in this World Cup. It essentially helped knock Germany out in the group stages, but we'll move on. The other semi-final.
Well, you could say that's a bit like, this scenario here, like Germany, like Mars, they make a bunch of high-tech shit. They make a bunch of, like the stuff that ended up catching them. This is probably a Mars-made camera that's up there at the top, and they didn't realise that footballiest cool or whatever they've got out there. He was offside or something. So
that's too true. I mean, that
see
probably is their
Arkan Land
name.
Sneaking out the back door in a Birmingham shirt.
Yeah.
All right, so Birmingham through. They are the first of our finalists.
Yeah. Mordian versus Krieg, the Imperial Guard matchup we never knew we wanted to see on the football field, but we're seeing it. Who do you reckon wins here?
This is this is perfect. This is a perfect match. I can't believe this has happened naturally, which genuinely has happened naturally on our LBP computer system. The trench lines quieten down for Christmas Day as the soldiers from Krieg go over the top, and on the other side, in their immaculate uniforms, line up the Mordian Iron Guard, two perfectly individualistic regiments and planets of the Guard play in no man's land the famous football game. I mean, this is,
and it couldn't be more similar yet more different at the same time. And we mentioned the Mordian Guard singing the anthem, and I can just imagine. Can you imagine the cameras going down the Mordian Guard? They're blaring their hearts out in perfect unison, like a Welsh choir. And then it carries on. The camera carries on. It's Krieg's turn, and all you can hear is trying to speak through their gas masks.
But guys, it doesn't matter because the Krieg anthem is just artillery guns firing in the distance. So you can't even.
Krieg are like the Christmas Carol Slipknot. You know, they've all got masks on.
Yeah.
God, this is very, very different play styles. I think this is actually quite a boring 0-0 game until one side just wears down the other, and I think that Krieg just is gonna have the stamina to beat.
If it's a war of attrition, it's like the game takes 17 years. They both build a trench and they're like throwing this ball backwards and forwards between these trenches that they've built.
They've hit the woodwork a million times between them, and the posts have rotted.
Generations have been born and died during the course of this match,
and that all plays into Krieg's play style. So they take it. I mean, that game, that is like I don't know.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't even know
until the factory funnels of the FIFA corporation that's pumping out this signal across the world pollutes the planet to such a state that the Mordians die because they don't have fucking gas masks on. That's how long this game's gone on for. You're right.
Yeah. I mean, that's a bit like the England-America game. If anyone watched that, it was boring. We have got a final.
We got a final. Who is it? Who is it, Matt? Bring us in. This is your thing. Tell us who it is. Let's hear it. So welcome, sports fans, LBP fans, long-time listening fans, to us talk a bunch of shit about planets playing football in 40k. I'm joined, as always, by Matt.
Hi.
And Welshie.
Well, hello.
And we're ready to get football-y here as we see the darkened world of Birmingham take on the gas mask poisoned world of Krieg in this, the Large Blast Podcast World Cup World's Final. So let's get ready as they flip the coin and get ready for kickoff. Let's join the pundits to see who they think is going to win this game.
It's been an up and down tournament, I can tell you that much, Stoney. Some early exits from the hosts. Terror takes more than money, takes plucky courage to get through a tournament like this. What do you think, Matthew?
I totally agree. Talking of courage, it's also an attritional battle in these tournaments. They go on and on and on and on and on. And the previous semi-final may have worn out the Krieg team because it's gone on and on and on and on and on. But they are experts in attrition because that Birmingham team looks pretty vicious.
Well, that Birmingham team is fresh because they've had 10,000 years to improve the structure and quality of Birmingham, and they've sent a brand new team over.
They've got 9 limbs between them and 74 limbs made of fairy liquid bottles. It's the Birmingham team, these young plucky upstarts are real firecrackers. But can they beat the well-established, built-in defensive wall of Krieg? Let's find out now. What do we guys think? This is it. This is what it's been building up to.
Man.
Krieg versus Birmingham.
All I can think when I look at this, and it's probably because I watched it recently, is Dark Knight Rises, when Batman's like, oh yeah, I hunt in the shadows, and Bane's like, I was born in the darkness.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Who is more born in the darkness, the people of Krieg or the people of Birmingham?
I mean, it's difficult. We're fighting two different battles here in a way, as it's kind of like who is the saddest? I think Krieg has won. You know, they've literally beat a demon planet in order to win. Who's the saddest and therefore maybe the best? If it's a kind of a Billy Elliot style story where everyone on Krieg was like, you know, they were like, "Oh, I just want to play football, Dad," and they were like, "No, you've got to man the cannon, son," or something like that, and they ended up like, you know, moving through the, you know, then maybe. But Birmingham, I feel, is a bit more like, you know, they spent a long time shooting muskets and blunderbusses and shit. They probably kicked the old pigskin around.
I don't know. I think what happens is Krieg, they walk out and they see the 7 legs between the Birmingham players, and they just take a knee. They just take the knee.
Oh,
right. They see something that they can respect in Birmingham for making it this far, and they just know that it's not even worth playing. You know, like in old kung fu films where they play it out in their head. It's like that. They just know.
Oh, okay? So you think that Krieg just give up to Birmingham? They've come.
I don't think give up. I think they
just allow.
They respect them so much that they allow them. They allow them to get through.
No, I feel like I've got to agree with Matt. I don't feel that Krieg would lay down their shovels. For a moment.
They've got through 3 games in the group stage, last 16, a quarter-final, a semi-final. They're not going to lay down.
I feel like someone from Krieg would batter a disabled puppy with a shovel if it meant it got them closer to their goal. I don't think that they give no fuck.
I thought you were going to say, like, the Krieg team come out of the dugout and they see the Birmingham team that's got 7 legs, and they kind of think to themselves, these guys have been through a bloody good minefield, and then they just carry on playing, because to them it's just like, well, you know, congrats, you're here. Now we're going to beat the shit out of you.
What about they know it would only be fair if they cut off their own legs, so they do. They get their shovels out. And the Kriegians, is a mark of respect, maybe not go as far as let them win, but hack off a couple of their own
legs and construct shovel legs to make it fair.
Yeah.
Maybe not as a mark of respect, but a mark of their own respect. Their sporting attitude, saying like, we're going to be equal to you so that we beat you fair and square. We're gonna line ourselves up.
Let's make this a Paralympics for everybody. Let's do it. Come on. Let's merge these two motherfuckers.
Oh man. Yeah.
Well, and then what does it come? It comes down to what's
what's
a better false limb: a melted fairy liquid ball or a shovel.
Let's have a look at their form. They dug in last time, right? So they did a really defensive game. They've just spent 16 years having a game against
literally
Morden,
dug in. They dug up the pitch.
Yeah. The pitch is a fucking wreck. It's destroyed, right? But like, what are they like offensively? What have Krieg got in terms of the striking department? Who have they got up front? Like, have they probably no one? Like, no named characters, unless they've got, you know, a kind of a Ronaldo style or something like that. So what I'm thinking is, but what they do have a lot of is artillery guns, right?
Yeah.
And what size is an artillery shell? It's probably about the size of a football, right? I reckon if you squeeze the football into an artillery cannon, you probably launch that motherfucker out, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very hard to defend a football that's travelling at you at the speed of an artillery cannon, right? Even if you're from Morden.
Yeah, or Birmingham. Yeah.
Or Birmingham, wherever you're from. Who can say? Or Nicias. Or Olynesius, whatever it is, like, yeah.
So you're saying that maybe as Krieg are there blowing off their own legs and the referees looking utterly confused and distracted by that, they've rolled up an artillery gun. They've loaded up an artillery gun, and then as one of them takes a free kick, what the other player's actually done, they've dug a little hole just in front of the ball. So they look like they've kicked it, but they've just tapped the ball into a hole that they've dug with the shovel as the artillery gun fires from behind them.
I'll tell you what it is, right?
In the goal.
You're very close, Welsh. You're very close. But you know, like when people take penalties and they try to do that clever thing where they put one guy kind of like shuffles up to the ball and then the other guy takes the penalty. They've got an artillery gun, right? Behind one guy. Does a little shuffle. One guy does a little shuffle in front of the artillery gun. They're like, oh shit, he's going to shoot. And then they blast from the artillery gun through the back of the net, through the building, destroys most of the planet. Just, like goes into the Emperor's golden throne, blows that motherfucker up.
So the Krieg win because they've used a step over to disguise an artillery gun.
The artillery gun, yeah, exactly.
I'm on board for that.
Yeah.
I feel bad for Birmingham, but they've done really well.
Wow, we have a winner. That was so it went to penalties, basically. Went all the way, full hog. One team had to win and Krieg take it. But in the process, they've blown up the Emperor on the Golden Throne because their artillery round football has...
That's how he always wanted to go.
Destroyed.
Wasn't the Emperor's expression always like, I love football? Wasn't that what he always said? He's like, I really hope I die due to football. That's what he always said when in those initial days when he was going around the universe uniting mankind. He used football as his... You don't hear much about that. It's one of those old Rogue Trader things I hear.
I like that the final whistle's blown and you see the camera kind of drone fly over to the Emperor and you just see him twitch and he pulls out a vuvuzela, just blows the vuvuzela as the custodian turns round and the Imperium was never the same again.
What about this? They're doing like a big Mexican wave. Emperor's the last guy. He goes like, he stands up, does the Mexican wave.
The whole planet celebrating.
Chaos floods in. Well, there we have it. Football. It's done.